If I remember correctly, the last time a political party leader was able to get a debate moved because of a hockey game, it was in 2011, and it was you.
Yes.
Yes. And do you think it was the correct decision?
I think that was a correct decision. They should have made the same thing this year. Instead of just moving the hours, they should have moved the day. Or the hockey league should have maybe postponed the game from 7 to 8. But that was a decision made in U.S. Maybe by Trump, we never know.
Maybe at this stage, right? Do you have a sense of how interested Quebecers are in this federal election?
Well, yes, I think they're a lot interested. And last debate, there were 4 million people listened to the debate. So it's important. Debates are always important. It could change the numbers for each party. And when you look at the last polls, last 2-3 days, but the Bloc and the Liberals around Montreal, among the French people, are head to nose, and outside Montreal, the Bloc has a little advantage. So it could make Carney mandatory instead of having a majority. So, but the debate could play a lot, because Carney didn't answer a lot of questions. Like he said, he knows business. I'm pretty sure he knows business, but Brookfield last year made $541 million of profit and didn't pay a penny for income. So you have to know business to do so. and the same thing, he said he was the spokesman for the United Nations for Climate. And the same year, he deforested 9,000 hectares of forest in the Amazon forest. So it's at least a contradiction.
You point to, I think, what will be something to watch for tonight, which is now that we are down one political party leader, the others will have their sights on Mr. Carney as, you know, the front runner of sorts, but also the person who is kind of the least tested in the public.
Yes.
And you bring up some of those issues. For Mr. Blanchet, how important will it be for him to go toe-to-toe with Mr. Carney? Like, what should be his objectives going into this?
The objective will be to ask Carney what will we do, what he'll do with Quebec priorities. I'm thinking of the softwood lumber, the supply management policy, the culture, the aluminum. Every time they were in majority negotiating with Mexico and the United States, those priorities for Quebec were put aside. When they're in minorities, then it's different. So it could be important. And also questioning why Mr. Carney is against Bill 96 concerning the French language, and Bill 21...
the federal government would intervene under his
That's
leadership.
it. And Bill 21 concerning secularism. So that'd be an important question, but it has to be asked not aggressively, but asking him quietly a very clear question. If he is not answering, ask him in a second time, a third time. If he doesn't want, then you give the answer for him.
Do you think that people who will be watching tonight, like especially in Quebec, will be watching for those moments? Because often in Quebec, and you would know better than me, but sometimes when there's momentum behind something, it can overtake a lot of other things. Do you think that the Liberals are at that point, or they could still suffer some setbacks based on what happens tonight?
Yes, because if you look at the debate in 2021, the Bloc was, the difference between the Liberals and the Bloc were almost the same than the last poll at Léger. And the debate changed a lot.
It was a complete game changer, yeah.
That's it. So it could happen. But you have to be prepared and never be aggressive. You have to be, I think, polite, have a clear debate, like it was in the past in the House, not in recent years between the Liberals and the Tories, not at all. So I think, and Blanchet is a good debater, and Carney will have to answer. Something else that I know the business, I know the business, I know the business, I know the business, but what are you doing with what you know.
You referenced the prospect of, let's say they are able to form government, majority versus minority.
Yeah.
In a minority situation, when you look at where the NDP, for example, at this point in time, you never know, but in the polls, their numbers have collapsed significantly.
Yes.
It creates a different possible scenario in the House of Commons where a minority government might have to rely on the Bloc.
But it happened in the
and
past.
You know it well, yes.
It happened with Paul Martin. It happened with Stephen Harper. And even if Martin and Harper, we have very different point of view, we were able to negotiate. I remember that the fiscal imbalance was in the speech of the throne, because we told Paul Martin, you won't have our support for that speech, so there'll be another election at last minute. It was done at the very last minute. Same thing with Harper. We negotiated. I asked before, 1 week before the budget, $3.9 billion. So I couldn't change my mind in the last minute. It was clear. It was published. And we obtained 3.3 because we were negotiating. And I'm used to negotiate. I was a negotiator before, never had a strike. But I never tried to sell the union card to the employer at the end of the negotiation. Different interests, but interests are cross each other.
There's cross interests.
Yes, you have to find that point.
Do you think that exists now for Canadians that are watching and would assume that that wasn't possible for the Bloc and the Liberals, let's say, to find overlap, that it would lead to the demise of the Liberals? Do you think that's not a foregone conclusion?
But this is not what happened with Paul Martin.
Correct, yes.
And neither with, same thing with Stephen Harper. So the line was always, if it's good for Quebec, we're supporting it. If not, we're not supporting it. And a lot of time, it's not only good, what's good for Quebec, it's also good for Canada.
Yeah.
So.
Just final question for you, because you participated in 17?
Yes, I'm in the Guinness, I think.
The Guinness Book of World Records. A piece of advice for the candidates tonight, if you had one, what would it be?
Relax the day of the debate. I remember in 2004, I played 18 rounds of golf.
Really?
Because if you don't know your files, that day, I mean, it's too late. So you have to relax, go to the swimming pool, go to the gymnasium, go playing golf.
Go for a walk in the snow.
Trump,
maybe not today. Not with Trump and not today with this
Not
weather.
today, certainly not.
All right, Mr. Duceppe, a real pleasure. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure.
Great to see you.
Thank you.